friend. I wanted to talk about the stock market this week. Like, back in 2020 is when I started getting into stocks back in 2019. 2020 really piqued my interest because it was just crazy times back then in the stock market. I got out of it for 2 years while all that consolidated. And now, back in like November, I started trading again and like keeping up with trades. And man, I had my ass handed to me this week. I got greedy. I didn't dip out when I wanted to dip out. But I didn't dip out when I told myself I was going to sell what I had. Because what I do is I work with options, high risk, high reward. But like every stock person, you gotta have a formula. A strategy is the term. And I have a strategy, didn't stick to it, ended up losing like $200. The only saving grace is those $200 I had made in the stock market. So it wasn't like my actual thing that I had put into it to lose. So it was still frustrating because I was actually talking to Josh like 2 or so weeks ago about the whole idea of buy the rumor, sell the news. I had been doing great with quantum stocks, specifically RGTI. And then my ass, like I noted that the charts at around Tuesday started seeming not so hot. I should have dipped out. Like I should have sold in that moment. But something was like, Ashley, it'll come back. I was just being hopeful. What I did not know is that the Consumer Electronic Showcase was happening. It was happening. And Nvidia was like, look at all this new fancy stuff that we have. So of course, all of the quantum stocks just tanked. Like Nvidia CEO spoke out against like the longevity or actually thinking that quantum computers could do anything, and all the hype that was in the market tanked. Like I'm talking RGTI dropped 47% on Wednesday. Is this it? I was like, okay, like my option had to expire worthless. Like it is what it is. My dad, though, has been doing well with Nvidia, and I absolutely love that for him. I can't play Nvidia options right now because I don't have the funds for that. But he's slowly learning options and doing a lot better. So it's great that we're both seeing progress this year, and we're learning lessons, right? One of the lessons I learned is that there's an indicator that I absolutely love. I think is it VWAP, volume weighted average price, and it essentially makes Bollinger Band type lines where you could just see where it is. And I'm like, oh, so if it's averaging on the bottom half of this price average, there's a lot more chances that it's not going to break through the top. It's not going to go up. And what's worse about the RGTI is like I watched it and I was like, maybe I should buy a put, right? I should buy a put, but then my thought was, don't spend more money when you're losing money. So I didn't do anything. I didn't make any moves to see what happens at this point. When I woke up and saw that RGTI tanked and that the puts had increased by like 2,500%, the frustration, the like, okay, the acceptance. I went through all 12 stages of grief. So I learned my lesson, closed out my positions, and right now I have a BlackBerry call option that's already in the money, thankfully. So I'm not really worried about that. All of the chart is still saying in short term and long term that it's going to be bullish. Okay, sounds great. I will gladly stay there. And then I'm also in SoFi, but SoFi, I bought a put because everyone's like, it's going to go down. And that's been one that's been fluctuating. It's on the higher end. I also think it's going to go down. That one is not quite in the money, but I'm still sitting in profits. So I will take it. I will gladly take it. I went to close it out, and this is what I get for multitasking. I went to close it out, and I set it at a price that was too high, and it didn't sell today. So we will see what happens on Monday, right? That's definitely not something you should do with the stock market. Everything should be, I got shit hairs. Everything should be like by the books. This is just how you collect your money and get out. We're learning. We're learning. We listen, but we don't judge. I don't listen to my own stock market strategy sometimes. Gotta fix that shit though. Thankfully, it's only the second week of January. Like, it's the second week of January. I still banked, like, what was my increase last month? Is it like 25% increase last month? And I lost it all this month. You live and you learn. This is the downside of not doing paper trading. And everyone that tells you to do paper trading, that's smart. I think paper trading is a good idea. It just does not work for my brain. It doesn't, my brain's like, it's not real. So it doesn't do anything. I'm not actively learning. When I've staked in the game, I am learning. Again, why I'm buying smaller options. The one that tanked, there's lessons to be learned, you know? I was in a field I know nothing about. Like, I'm used to tech stocks, you know, meme stocks. I didn't know much about quantum stocks. I just found it through a screener. I saw that it was going up. I had been watching it from like $7, and it got all the way up to 20 before it bust. And that's a huge jump because it was in like 2 weeks. In 2 weeks that it went up that high. So like the crash absolutely makes sense. Crash absolutely makes sense. I don't know if it's going to recover though. Like, I don't know if it's going to recover at anywhere close to the speeds. But what I've also learned now is instead of just going by the line graph, I switched Webull, that's the platform I used, back to candlesticks. So I can look at the candlestick patterns individually as well as the different indicators that I have drawn on the chart. And switching it to, instead of like a 5-minute or 3-minute candlestick, it's like a 30-minute or an hour-long candlestick seems to be more beneficial. And I was talking to my dad. He's looking for longer out, already in the money options. And I'm like, that's so smart. That's so smart when it comes to optimizing, like controlling your loss, buying in the money that isn't even close to your entire account, because you don't want to put all of your money into the market and just keep riding the wave up. So now my Sophie stock that I bought was in the money when I purchased it. And that's great. It is just going up. I'm always nervous about like aftermarket sales and pre-market things because that's not anything I touch. That's not how I can close out my options, you know? I'm starting to understand the times and the ebbs and flows. Well, I'm not starting to understand. I'm remembering the ebbs and the flows of like, yeah, it peaks first thing in the morning, or you have big movement first thing in the morning, but around 10:30 it levels out, and then 11:30, and then by like 2:30 it's doing something again for like the after lunch crowd. You know, the general things. I'm not really looking to make this a how to do stock things. It's just my thoughts on it. And I'm not watching any other stocks right now. A couple of years ago, I was listening to an interview with this woman who manages a stock portfolio, and she has had the same 14 stocks for 10 years that she just goes through. And it makes sense. If you're educated on a chart, if you know the chart, you can just keep up with these same items. You don't have to keep just finding different ones. Especially with options, it's nice because like I can bet, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? So let me not say bet. I hate when people are like, this is betting, this is gambling. It's not gambling to me. You just have to make educated decisions and stay on your P's and Q's. And I didn't do that. And I know it would have worked because there was twice I could have sold that damn option for like watching, I think it was with Diary of a CEO. I love that channel. The titles can be clickbaity sometimes, but the overall channel and the interviews, amazing things. But this guy was talking about how, oh wait, let me get my thought process. Okay, yes. So this guy on the interview was talking about how when you need a mentor for stocks, it's not to learn how to do stocks. Like, it's not to find out, like, oh, this is what they look for. This is all of that. What's happening? Jesus Christ, people don't know how to drive on the interstate. Like, a guy literally just did, like, 3 lanes to get off on an exit, but then the other guy that was on an exit also, like, went off the lines, too? I don't know. Anyways, that you need to find a mentor to help you with your emotions, with that part, with sticking to it. And oh my God, that was the first time I had heard that, but it's so true. It's so true. You get your emotions under control, you could figure out stocks, because again, it's historical data, it's probability and statistics. The only math class I enjoyed. And it's just, this week was a lot. And to wrap it up, I'm glad I learned about volume weight average price, that indicator. I'm glad I switched back to candlesticks and to a longer time frame to read charts off of. I want to go into the next week more educated. I am sticking right now. I am definitely sticking to Sophie, BlackBerry, and RGTI. Rigatoni? I don't know what it actually stands for, but like those are the charts I'm learning on. I'm also keeping an eye on Nvidia. If I can get it, like if I can afford to get into Nvidia stock options, absolutely, the volume is there, the money is there. That's like getting into Tesla or Apple or Google or Microsoft. Like, those are ones people will trade. So, but yeah, next week we're gonna hope for a lot better gains. Thanks for listening to this